Hello folks, welcome back to the Edupedia world, and I am Abhinay Gupta. So today again we are continuing with the standards on auditing, and the standard which is under consideration for us is SA 210, which is agreeing the terms of an audit engagement. So we have already seen the objectives, we have seen the preconditions, and we have also seen the various content of this essay. Today we'll give a brief review of the various content and go to define and explain the content of the engagement letter, and then I would map this entire essay for you to memorize it and to remember what is going on, what is the flow of the essay, right? This is as we had promised in the previous class, so let us continue with it. So we'll give a quick revision to what are the various topics that we are covering. So basically the limitation on scope prior to audit acceptance. If there is a limitation on scope, and that will actually persuade you to give a disclaimer of opinion, then beforehand it is better you avoid the audit. Do not accept it unless it is required by law or regulation. Then the other factors affecting the acceptance. The basic and the most important among this is the absence of the preconditions. The responsibilities of the management. Management is not accepting the responsibility. They are not willing to give you the access to the various things that you want. If something like that exists, then you will have to withdraw from that audit. But since it is the initiation, do not accept it on the first hand, right? Then agreement of audit engagement terms. So what are the audit engagement terms that you need to agree to? If we see, it's over here. The objective, the scope, responsibility of both the management and the auditor. Identifying the FRF and the form and content of the report. This is what you need to agree upon. You will have to be on a common platform when you're talking about these things, right? Then you have the recurring audit, and we have seen what you do in the recurring audit. So if you are continuing the audit again for the next year, that is called the recurring audit. And at that point of time you will have to remind the management, right, in case there is a misunderstanding between both of you, in case there is a change in the, or in case there is a special term that has come up, or there is a change in the management, change in the ownership, change in the applicable financial reporting framework, change in the nature and size of the business of the entity, right, change in other reporting requirement. If there is these kind of changes, then you will have to remind it to them via a new letter of engagement. Otherwise you can continue with the old letter of engagement that you have given. That will be rolled forward to this year, right? Next is acceptance of a change in terms of an audit engagement. This, when we're talking about, we are actually considering the change that is occurring during your audit, right? So if there is any change which the management has come up to you with, then first you will have to see whether that is justifiable. If you understand that, yeah, these changes are basically required, it is good you pointed them out, I appreciate that, right? That is what you see the management and you accept it. Okay, let us revise the letter of engagement and we'll add this clause into it. That, yeah, these are the changes and this is a new scope or this is a new objective. But if the required change that the management actually wants from you is not acceptable to you, you feel that that is a restriction on your scope, you feel that that will not allow you to give an unqualified report, right? You will not be satisfied without doing those things. Then you will have to request the management, please let me do it. That is a request you will make, right? You cannot say, no, I'll do it. What you are saying, you will not allow me, I'll do it. No, you cannot do like that. You will have to request, please allow me to do that. Without that I will not be able to complete my audit. I will not be able to take a proper judgment. Then I will have to include it in the qualified paragraph. And if it is so pervasive, then I will have to disclaim the opinion. Even then, if the management does not agree to you, management says no, that is beyond our limit, we will not be able to help you with that. For example, again the inventory, we will not be able to help you with the inventory this year, we will not be able to help you with the debtors this year, right? We have made significant business promotion expenses, but we don't have the data for that. It is a very material expense, but we don't have a data for that. So when you think that these kind of things are occurring, that will not allow you to give a valid report, then you will withdraw from the engagement, right? And if required, you will report to the other parties who would be interested, like those charged with governance, like the regulatory authorities, the owners, etc. Right? Then we had the form and content of the audit engagement letter, and that is the basic requirement of the class today. So let us go to the slide for the form and content of the LOE. Right? So first that you have is the scope. So when you're talking about the scope, right, you will say that yeah, this is our scope. Where do you get your scope? First is the letter of engagement, but you are preparing the letter of engagement. So your scope will basically be defined by the law and regulation which is prevalent, by the pronouncements of the ICAI, right, by the FRF, right, the standards, the regulations, the ethical and other requirements of the institute. These will determine your scope. And when you are actually determined with the entire scope, that yeah, this is the scope within which, or this is the scope with which I will have to perform my audit, you will mention the entire scope in the scope paragraph. That is the first paragraph of the engagement letter, that I will perform my audit based on these factors, right? I will follow the relevant SA, I will follow the pronouncements of ICAI. These are my scope, I cannot go beyond them, right? These are the basis on which I will perform the audit. That is the scope. Next you have the result, right? So whatever is the form of the result that you are actually planning to give to the management, you will mention that this is the kind of result that you will be receiving from us. Next is the inherent limitation. So in the next paragraph, basically you will go on to disclaim that yes, there are certain inherent limitations on us, and due to that limitation, right, there may be some material misstatement that remain undetected, right? So you'll say that yeah, there are some inherent limitations of audit, right, together with the inherent limitation of the internal control. The internal control that has been managed by the management, right? But still it has inherent limitations over there, and your inherent limitation you already know. So there are two kinds of inherent limitation that may actually keep you away from some material misstatement. So you will have to disclaim, right, that there is an unavoidable risk of some material misstatement which may not be detected, even though the audit is properly planned and performed in according with the relevant FRF, right? You will have to disclaim that. Next is the plan and performance. So whatever plannings you have done, right, regarding the performance, that yeah, we have planned, we will start the audit at this point of time, we will need this data by this date, this is the entire plan in the document form, these are the people involved, this is my audit team who will be going with you, these are the people, we have managers, we have assistants, the assistant will take up this category of work, the manager will take up this category of work. All these things, your entire plan for the audit and your performance will be discussed with the management, that this is how we are planning to proceed, and within this time frame we will complete the audit, right? And then you will also say that we accept a representation letter from your end, from the management's end, that you will provide us with the representation letter, and in that letter you will write that yeah, we have prepared the financial statements, we have thought to apply the applicable FRF, the internal controls, and the other access that you will give. Everything will be mentioned in the written representation, right? Next we have the management representation letter that will define the responsibilities. So yeah, basically you need to understand that actually written representation and the MRL are two different things. In the written representation you only give some relevant data that will deal with the AS on the written representation. So SA 580 deals with the written representation, so we will get into the detail of the written representation from the management while we are discussing SA 580, right? So in the meantime, the management representation letter, that will define the responsibility of the management, that yeah, we will prepare the financial statement, right? We'll prepare the draft financial statement based on the applicable FRF. We will give you all the information that you require, and we will give that to you on time, right? We will help you to complete the audit in time, right? The timetable that you have given us, we will help you to arrange the data by that time, to arrange the personnel for your help. If you have planned the inventory visit, we will help you with that dates. We'll prepare the inventory by that time. We'll extract all the dump from the ERP. We'll keep it ready for you, right? You want certain documents from the bank, we'll get it arranged. So okay, if you want to check the banks on the third week, we'll get it arranged by the second week. This is the kind of responsibility statement that you will take from the management, that you have given us your audit scope, we will help you with that audit, will help you with achieving that objectives of yours, right? And then management will also you will also say that yes, you as a management of this company, you are responsible to inform us with any matter that pops up after we have given you the report and before the finalization of your financial statement. If there is something relevant that has come up during that time, please keep us informed, right? Then you have the billing basis. So the basis on which the fees are computed, maybe the number of hours you're given, the number of employees you're given, right? What will be the percentage of the out-of-pocket expenses, what will be the reimbursement procedure, right? These kind of things will be included. Yeah, these are the basis on which we will be billing you at the end, right? Then you have the acknowledgement, right? That you will request, that it is a request for management to acknowledge the receipt of the audit engagement letter and to agree to the terms of the engagement which is outlined over there, and then give it back to us, so that we will know that yes, if we have given that engagement letter to the management, management has said okay, that is the receipt, right? When you go to any shop, you take the bill, you take the invoice, that is the receipt. So over here also you will take the acknowledgement, you will take the receipt, right? And at last you will also include a statement that yeah, our audit, the audit that we are performing, may be subject to peer review as per the Chartered Accountant Act 1949. That is for your quality purpose, right? And peer review is basically done by some external people who will come and who will see whether you have performed the audit in accordance with what was required, whether the quality of your audit is maintained, whether the documentation are proper, whether the reporting is good, right? Whether the training to the employees are good. These things will be covered under peer review. So you have a separate chapter on peer review, right? So we'll discuss the detail about peer review in that chapter. Until that, you just need to know that yes, a disclaimer of the peer review, that this audit may be subjected to peer review, so you are requested to cooperate at that point of time. That will be given in the LOE, right? So that was all about this essay in brief. If you want to see the format of the LOE, please log on to the institute website. That is the best place, right? Or otherwise I will try and post it in the comment box below. I'll give you the link. Just click on there, you will get the LOE as per the Companies Act 2013. Refer to that. I know if you are taking it from the institute website, it is going to be a lengthy LOE, right? Because over there they will the content would be extensive. Everything will be included in that format LOE. But please refer to that. That will help you analyze, right? In the exam you have never been asked so far to prepare an engagement letter, but you may be asked. That is not out of syllabus. If you are asked, that is inside the syllabus. So what you need to do is you need to write it down, right? How do you write it down? You need to learn one or two lines from all of these: the scope, the result, inherent limitation, plan performance, written representation, MRL, billing, acknowledgement, peer review, everything. You will have to learn what are the kind of statements that is used over there, right? And since there is nothing more to understand in that, I will not take it up in the class. Now that is your homework, that you go through the engagement letter, right? Now I'll give you a brief of what we have studied. Relax, it's not a thank you over there. We still have a slide remaining, which is agreeing to the terms of audit engagement about this essay, right? We'll discuss now what it is. So, if it is the beginning of the audit, and in the beginning this is your first time you are approached by that entity to audit their client, to audit their business, right? So if it is for the first time, then you will check whether or not there is a limitation imposed by the management, that they will say we will not give you this area, but apart from this please do the audit for the rest of the area. If there is a limitation in the very beginning, what do? Do you accept the audit? No, right? So if there is a limitation present, you will reject the audit. And if there is no limitation present, but the client has come to you for the first time, right? What do? You basically ensure that the preconditions are present. That is the prime thing, right? That is the objective of this essay, that the preconditions have to be present. So you check whether the preconditions exist, whether the management accept that they are doing it. If yes, then you can issue the letter of engagement. But if that preconditions are absent, you will discuss with them that listen, these are the preconditions that are supposed to be there. I think you are aware of it. You have been audited earlier, if they have been, right? If it is a new company, then you will have to inform them that, sir, there is a requirement of some precondition that has to be present over there, right? So if they agree to it, then okay, the preconditions are present, and then you accept, then you issue the LOE. But if they reject it, right, they do not accept the responsibilities, or if they apply some financial reporting framework which is not acceptable from you, right? You say that for your kind of a company, NDS is required, but they are still following AS. Sir, it is mandatory. No, we will follow AS. So will you accept that kind of an audit? No. In that situation, you will reject, right? Then if it is a recurring audit, it is not the first time audit, but it is a recurring audit, then what do you do, right? You need to check the revised terms and remind the existing, right? So as per the requirement that we have already discussed, that if there is anything changing, the management changes, ownership changes, the FRF changes, your requirement of law regulation changes, or management responsibility changes, something new has come up, if there is something like that, if you think you need to revise the term, you revise it, or you will have to remind them existing if there is nothing changing, right? So in both the case, you will have to give them an LOE, right? If there is something you are like revising, or if there is something you think that no, these people need to be reminded, there is somebody changed in the management, they need to be reminded about everything, so you will issue a letter of engagement. But if there is nothing to be reminded, nothing to be revised, you will not issue a letter of engagement. You will avoid that step and straight away go with the audit, right? This is what generally you need to do. This is the overall structure, right? Now there is one more situation, that if the limitations are imposed on you during the audit, right? During the audit, management requests you to change certain things. Then what you do is you will evaluate the impact. If you think that okay, that will not impact me on a large extent, or if that change is actually required, you would continue with the audit and you would issue a fresh LOE including those terms, right? But if you think that no, I will not do it, I will not be able to do it that way, all my purpose will be defeated if I do it that way, and if you're not satisfied, you would refuse. Sir, we will not accept it. But if the management does not allow you to continue, that no, you will have to perform it that way, then you raise both your hands. I will not do your audit, I withdraw, and you move out. Trust me, my dear friends, you will not be allowed to withdraw, because you know what happens is, if an auditor withdraws, if you as an auditor, you have a lot of power. If you withdraw from an engagement, nobody will take up that engagement, because any other auditor who is coming in, right, they will have to give you a written, they will have to send a written inquiry to you. Why did you leave the audit? Is there any problem with that audit? And then you say, boss, they have imposed such big limitation that it is not possible to conduct the audit. Please don't go ahead with it. You will be trapped. That is not good. That is beyond our ethics. You will enter into professional misconduct. Don't take it. He will not take it. And then there will be no auditor. The share prices will go down. Why? Because the financials are not issued. So management, basically, they do not take such a risk, right? So they will not allow you to withdraw. Either you accept it or they will accept it. That is the situation what actually happens in the real life scenario, right? So now I hope you are clear with the entire essay. This was a smaller essay, and we have in detail done all the contents and also given you a roadmap to remember what is going on, right? Should we revise it again? So in the beginning of the audit, there are two conditions. Either it is the first time client for you, or it is a recurring client for you. If it is a first time client for you, see if they are imposing any restriction. If they are, reject them. If they are not, see if preconditions are present. If the preconditions are present, issue the LOE, everything is going good, what is the problem? But if it is not present, please discuss that, sir, these are the preconditions that are required to be present, so please arrange for them. If they arrange for it, well and good, issue the LOE. But if they don't, please back off. I will not be able to do the audit that way. Please, sir. There are certain responsibilities you will have to take. We will not prepare your accounts. We will not see what are the applicable FRF. We will not go to the personnel and just say, please give us the information. No. It is your responsibility. Feed it to us. If you can't, we are backing off. Right? And if it is a recurring audit, then you need to check whether any term requires revision, or if there is something or someone new who has come up and you need to remind them about what is going on, then you issue a letter of engagement. If there is nothing like that, then you avoid, right? And if during the audit the management is imposing any restriction, evaluate the impact. If it is actually a good restriction and that is required, then you are satisfied, include it in the letter of engagement and issue it fresh, get it signed. But if that is not correct and you don't want to continue the audit that way, or you will not be able to continue, you request the management, sir, this is not done, please take your words back and we'll continue it as we had already discussed. But the management says no, if you want to continue it my way, or don't back off. It's as simple as that. They will not let you back off, right? That is the entire summary of this essay. You remember the preconditions? Please learn them up, right? And if you ask me what are the kind of questions that you get, right, then in essay 200, basically the kind of questions that you may get, which has a high probability, is what do you mean by professional skepticism, or what do you mean by professional judgment? Explain it. So you will have to write down all the points which is inside that, right? And in essay 210, the questions that you may get is to explain the preconditions of the audit, right? That is one question that you may get, like you may expect a 4-mark question on that. And other is like you will be given situation that this thing has happened and decide whether or not you will accept the engagement. Will you issue the letter of engagement? Right? These kind of questions can come up. So you will have to be clear with the entire chart as to how it is moving, so that you can decide whether or not on the first place you are accepting it, and if you are accepting it, what are the other actions that you will be taking, right? So that will be all for the day. We are done with this essay, and in the next lecture we'll pick up the next essay, right? So until then, please stay tuned. This is Abhinay Gupta signing off. Thank you. Bye bye.